What's up, everyone? Or what's up, friends? Welcome to SPDM TV. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I watch a lot of TV. We talk about various TV topics, reviews, and general appreciation of TV past and new. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and serialized at MLHilty2452 to see what all I'm watching. This week, the episode comes out a little bit late because the Emmy nominations came out for this year, and I wanted to wait until all the nominees were out in order to kind of get some thoughts out and some analysis out. So, a couple things kind of come to mind with this. So, let's kind of get some logistical stuff out of the way. But the Emmys will be on Sunday, September 7th. They will be hosted by Bargatze. Nate Bargatze. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that a lot. And this year, some things. So Severance leads with 27 nominations. The Penguin leads with 20, or is next with 24. The Studio and the White Lotus with 23, and The Last of Us with 16. So on the plus, HBO is well represented here. So is Apple. Curiously, there's going to be some things as I go through and kind of read through these that I'm kind of wondering. It's like, whoa, what happened here? However, there's a couple things that I wanted to get off my chest right off the bat, and that's number one, the category fraud that the best comedy series, they're still letting The Bear continue to submit for best comedy series, which the Emmys need to stop doing that. Or like all these different categories or all these different awards bodies need to stop doing this because it is ridiculous that the Bear continues to be submitted for comedy series when right now especially it is absolutely not a comedy series. A couple other things that I see that I'm kind of curious about. So I'm looking at some of these and I'm looking at some of the snubs here. Nothing too like obvious or too egregious, and I think that some of this boils down to personal preference. But I know for me, some shows last year, The Day of the Jackal didn't get any after getting some nominations at the Golden Globes. I'm a little disappointed Industry doesn't get any love from the Emmys, even though Industry is one of the best shows on not just on HBO, on television in general. Say Nothing, which was an FX series last fall. I really thought that this had a chance for best limited or anthology series, but it did not. English Teacher, Black Doves, let's see, City of God, the fight rages on. Cross, none of those got love, which I get it. Sweet Pea not getting a nomination for Ella Purnell confuses me a lot, but hey, it is what it is. Marvel continues to not get a whole lot of love. Quite frankly, like for me, they shouldn't, but hey, it is what it is. But nothing for Daredevil. I think like a couple that were curious as well. Not a whole lot. Nothing for Department Q, which I had read that the Emmys were making a big push or Netflix was making a big push to get Department Q some nominees or nominations. So kind of curious about that. I'm also a little bummed that there wasn't more love for Your Friends and Neighbors. I don't see a whole lot of anything for them, so that bums me out a lot. Nothing for American Primeval, which I thought felt like Emmy bait to begin with. I would have thought that Mid-Century Modern would have gotten something, like in the acting category, maybe specifically for Nathan Lane, but nothing there. Not a whole lot for the Four Seasons either, and not a whole lot for Zero Day. So those were I was a little interested that there wasn't more of that on there. However, so those are some kind of snubs and kind of things that I'm like, that's a little curious. Some surprises on here that kind of just going through. Most of these are positive surprises, but a couple I'll just point out as like, huh, that's interesting that it's here. So, for example, The Diplomat for Best Drama Series. I'm surprised that The Diplomat is here when there's tons of other series, but I'm very happy that Slow Horses, and specifically, I'm very happy that The Pit made it on as well. I'm very happy that What We Do in the Shadows got nominated for its final season, even though I'm not really sure it deserves it. But hey, I'm at least glad that they got nominated. The studio getting as many nominations as they did, I was very happy about, especially since it's got a lot of things to say about Hollywood. So I was surprised about that. why do we keep giving Ryan Murphy Emmys for Monster? Like, why do we keep doing that? Why are we giving them nominations for the Lyle and Eric Menendez story? I don't get it. I really don't. But yet here we are. And then the best television movie, like I cannot believe that Nona's was one that is like, yep, we're gonna give this a nominee, but whatever, it is what it is. So another surprise, Kathy Bates for Matlock just continue to rack up the awards, as well as Sharon Horgan for Bad Sisters. Okay, cool. Let's do that. The White Lotus continues to clean up in the supporting actor categories. I don't understand why Jason Isaacs is nominated. I would have thought that like and Sam Rockwell, because both of them play like, or Sam Rockwell plays like a very small part, and Jason Isaacs, God, he's just such a douchebag. If there was anybody that I would have loved to have seen nominated in The White Lotus for this past season, it would have been Guy Talk, the guard. I was wondering why he was not nominated, and that really bums me out a lot. Okay, so let's just go through these categories and let's just kind of go through them one by one. I'm not going to do any of the technical categories. I'm not going to do writing. I'm not going to do directing. I'm not going to do any of that. So, but I'll do all the acting ones, and we'll go from there. So, let's do best supporting actress in a limited or anthology series or movie. We've got Erin Doherty for Adolescence, Ruth Negga for Presumed Innocence, Deidre O'Connell in The Penguin, Chloe Sevigny for Monster, the Eric Menendez story, Jenny Slate for Dying for Sex, and Christine Tremarco for Adolescence. So I'm taking a look at this list, and this is a pretty fantastic list of some of the people that I think are just outstanding in this. I really like Jenny Slate in Dying for Sex. I really liked Ruth Negga in Presumed Innocent. To me, this boils down to who in adolescence gives the better performance. I think it's Erin Doherty, who's the therapist in the third episode, which is the great episode for adolescence, and Deidre O'Connell as Oz's mom. I think it's a toss up between those two, but I'm going to give it to Deidre O'Connell for that. A best supporting actor in a limited or anthology series or movie. We got Javier Bardem for Monsters, Bill Camp for Presumed Innocent, Owen Cooper for Adolescence, Rob Delaney for Dying for Sex, Peter Sarsgaard in Presumed Innocent, and Ashley Walters for Adolescence. I'm taking a look at this list. I really like both of the performance for Presumed Innocent, specifically Bill Camp. I thought he just had a tough job ahead of him where he had to be somebody who was on Jake Gyllenhaal's side, even though he doesn't necessarily believe him. And then Peter Sarsgaard as just this slime ball of a prosecutor who is just out to get Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Both performances in Adolescence was great. Ashley Walters as the inspector who is just trying to uncover this mystery, and Rob Delaney in Dying for Sex as neighbor guy. That's all he's known as, neighbor guy, in a shockingly sweet role. And then Javier Bardem is here for Monsters for some strange reason. But to me, this is Owen Cooper without a doubt. Owen Cooper for Adolescence, for a first performance. God, he knocks it out of the park. He's so good in this. Best Actress in a Limited or Anthology Series or Movie, we got Kate Blanchett for Disclaimer, Megan Fahey for Sirens, Rashida Jones for Black Mirror, Christine Milioti for The Penguin, and Michelle Williams for Dying for Sex. And I'm really glad Rashida Jones was the one that got nominated for Black Mirror. I know a lot of people were down on that episode of Black Mirror. I loved it. I thought it was really good. And it was also the one that was the most cringe inducing because I could see a situation where that's definitely a thing. Disclaimer is one of those shows that I, for some strange reason, did not finish, but yeah, I'm very surprised that that got there because of all the prestige with that. But then I'm looking at Michelle Williams for Dying for Sex. This feels like the more standard pick for this, but I'm gonna go with Kristen Milioti for the Penguin because her turn as Sophia Falcone is just chilling in this, and it's great. Best guest actor or actress in a comedy series, we've got Olivia Colman for The Bear, Jamie Lee Curtis for The Bear, then Cynthia Erivo for Poker Face, Robbie Hoffman for Hacks, Zoe Kravitz for The Studio, and Julianne Nicholson in Hacks. I'm gonna go Zoe Kravitz for this for The Studio. I thought her performance was great, with a slight nod to Jamie Lee Curtis for The Bear. There was nothing comedic about her performance, but hey, it is what it is. Best guest actor in a comedy series, got John Bernthal in The Bear, and then pretty much anyone that you could think of for The Studio. So Martin Scorsese, Anthony Mackie, Ron Howard, Dave Franco, and Bryan Cranston. I personally loved Ron Howard in The Studio, with a slight nod to Martin Scorsese for The Studio. I did love John Bernthal. Like anytime I get John Bernthal in The Bear, I'm happy. But if I'm picking, I'm gonna go Ron Howard for The Studio because he's such an asshole in it. Best actress, supporting actress in a comedy series, got Liza Colon for The Bear, Hannah Einbender for Hacks, Catherine Hahn for The Studio, Janelle James for Abbott Elementary, Catherine O'Hara for The Studio, Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott Elementary, and Jessica Williams for Shrinking. This is a great category. There's a lot of great performances in here. I personally think Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott Elementary. I feel like this is a good year to give it to her, mainly because I've always said that one of my big problems with Abbott Elementary has been the principal. I was just never a fan of her. But they turn her into like a likable character with development and backstory and some agency, and I loved it. I do want to give a nod to Hannah Einbender for Hacks, because I think this season she goes through something that I don't think a whole lot of people thought that she had in her, and then particularly with that ending. I did love Jessica Williams in Shrinking as well. God, this is hard. I guess I'm gonna go Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott Elementary. Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, we've got Ike Barinholtz for The Studio, Coleman Domingo for The Four Seasons, Harrison Ford for Shrinking, Jeff Hiller for Somebody Somewhere, Ebon Moss Backrack for The Bear, Michael Urie, I hope I'm saying that right, for Shrinking, and Bowen Yang for Saturday Night Live. Like if this was a couple years ago, I think Ebon Moss Backrack would win it for The Bear, and a small part of me thinks he still will because the Emmys are very traditional and they will continue to vote for people. I would say Ike Barinholtz for The Studio would be a worthy winner. I would say Harrison Ford for Shrinking would also be a worthy winner. So I'm going to go with either one of those two, but I'm going to specifically zero in on Ike Barinholtz for The Studio. Best actor in a comedy series, we've got Adam Brody for Nobody Wants This, Seth Rogen for The Studio, Jason Segel for Shrinking, Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, and Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. And as long as Jeremy Allen White is still in this category, he's still going to continue to win it, even though I absolutely do not think that The Bear should be in a comedy series. If I was picking this, I'd pick Seth Rogen for The Studio because I loved it. I'm a little confused why Martin Short is on here for Only Murders in the Building and Steve Martin is not, even though this is way more of a Steve Martin centric season. I don't understand that, but whatever. It is what it is. Someone has to lose out. Best actress in a comedy series, Uzo Aduba for The Residents, Kristen Bell for Nobody Wants This, Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary, Ayo Edebiri for The Bear, and Jean Smart as Hacks. Similar to Jeremy Allen White, as long as Jean Smart is in this category for Hacks, she's going to win it, and she absolutely deserves it. I do want to give a nod specifically to Kristen Bell and Nobody Wants This. I loved Nobody Wants This. I thought it was great. And then Quinta Brunson as well for Abbott Elementary is consistent as always. But I do think that Jean Smart just continues to take this home. Best guest actress in a drama series. We've got Jane Alexander in Severance, Gwendolyn Christie in Severance, Caitlin Dever in The Last of Us, Cherry Jones in The Handmaid's Tale, which I'm a little confused why The Handmaid's Tale didn't get more nominations, even though I get it. Catherine O'Hara for The Last of Us, and Merritt Weaver for Severance. I'm going to give it to Caitlin Dever for this, for The Last of Us. I thought her role as Abby was great. I don't even think that's the best Caitlin Dever performance this year because I think her turn in Apple Cider Vinegar is better, but Apple Cider Vinegar got nothing this year. So, hey, it is what it is. But I would say Caitlin Dever for The Last of Us. Best guest actor in a drama series, we've got Giancarlo Esposito. Thanks, Dan Merle, for that. For The Boys, Scott Glenn for The White Lotus, Sean Hattasey for the Pit, Joe Pantoliano for The Last of Us, Forrest Whitaker for Andor, and Jeffrey Wright for The Last of Us. Scott Glenn for the White Lotus, Jeffrey Wright for The Last of Us, and Sean Hattasey for The Pit are the ones that I'm kind of circling here. And I think I'm going to go Sean Hattasey for The Pit. Because he just brings such a steadying presence on there in a time that just definitely needed it. But so yeah, I'm going to go with that. Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, we've got Patricia Arquette for Severance, Carrie Coon for The White Lotus, Catherine for The Pit, Juliana Nicholson for Paradise, Parker Posey for The White Lotus, Natasha Rothwell for The White Lotus, and Amy Lee Wood for The White Lotus. I like Amy Lee Wood a lot in The White Lotus, especially since she's a bit of a tragic character. I love Catherine Lanassa in The Pit. She was just great in that. I think I'm going to give it to Amy Lee Wood for The White Lotus. Best actor in a limited or anthology series or movie, we got Colin Farrell for The Penguin, Stephen Graham for Adolescence, Jake Gyllenhaal for Presumed Innocent, Brian Tyree Henry for Dope Thief, and Cooper Koch for Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Colin Farrell all the way for this. I do want to acknowledge and give a nod to Stephen Graham for Adolescence because I thought he was outstanding in that. I would not be surprised if he won, but I'm going with Colin Farrell for The Penguin. Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, we've got Zach Cherry for Severance, Walton Goggins for The White Lotus, Jason Isaacs for The White Lotus, James Marsden for Paradise, Sam Rockwell for The White Lotus, Trammell Tillman for Severance, and John Turturro for Severance. Trammell Tillman for Severance gets it for me because this season Milchach just gets it, and that dance sequence that he had at the end sealed the deal for me. So Trammell Tillman all the way. Best Actress in a Drama Series, we got Kathy Bates in Matlock, Sharon Horgan for Bad Sisters, Britt Lower for Severance, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, and Kerry Russell for The Diplomat. Now, conventional wisdom would probably say Britt Lower or Britt Lower or Lower, I don't know, from Severance is probably going to win this. And she does deserve it because Helly/Helena is just a terrifying character. I would give it to Bella Ramsey, though. I think she's given more to do, and she slides from co-lead to just the lone lead in this season. There's that. And the fact that Isabella Merced isn't nominated is a travesty, but whatever, here we are. Best Actor in a Drama Series, we got Sterling K. Brown for Paradise, Gary Oldman for Slow Horses, Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us, Adam Scott for Severance, and Noah Wiley for The Pit. I don't know why Pedro Pascal is here. He was only in like 2.5 episodes of Severance or The Last of Us, so I don't understand why he's here. I thought Sterling K. Brown was fine in Paradise, but he's just continues to be Sterling K. Brown. This boils down to Adam Scott or Noah Wiley. And I think if I was picking, I'd pick Noah Wiley for The Pit. However, I think that conversation that Adam Scott has his innie and his outie, I think that sealed the deal right there. So I'm going to go Adam Scott for Severance. Best, I don't care about talk series, reality competition series, scripted variety series. I'll give a nod to Best Television Movie, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, The Gorge, Mountainhead, Nonas, and Rebel Ridge. I'm giving it to Rebel Ridge, and I'll just leave it at that. Best Limited or Anthology Series, Adolescence, Black Mirror, Dying for Sex, Monsters, The Lyle and Eric Menendez story. This is the last time I'm going to say it. Why Is This Here? And The Penguin. And I love Dying for Sex. I don't think it's gonna get a win. I'm glad to see Black Mirror is back on this list, but this is between Adolescence and The Penguin, and this is prestige TV at its absolute best. I have a feeling that The Penguin is going to win, even though Adolescence is like the new and sexy thing that's out right now. It would not surprise me if either one wins, but I'm going to go with The Penguin. Best Comedy Series, we've got Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, Shrinking, The Studios, and What We Do in the Shadows. And I will go ahead and give this to The Studio for this. I would not mind if Hacks wins again. I think the time of The Bear, I think people are kind of just winding down on their enthusiasm for The Bear. but I'm going to say the studio with a nod to Hacks as well. I love Shrinking season two, but I don't think it's going to win. And finally, best drama series, we've got Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, and The White Lotus. First of all, why is nobody from Andor nominated for anything? I think that is a travesty from an acting standpoint. So I don't understand that. The Last of Us being in the drama series, I think it's a bit egregious simply because The Last of Us season two was very uneven. Same thing with The White Lotus. I still like season three, but it's still not as good as previous seasons. Slow Horses continues to, trudge along. Paradise was good. I don't think it's best drama series good, but here we are. If I'm voting for this, I'm voting for either Andor or The Pit. But I have a feeling since it's got the most nominations, I think Severance is probably going to take this home. As we get a little bit closer, I'm probably going to go through some of these that I haven't watched yet. Right now, for best drama series, or just any of the best series categories, there's only a couple that I haven't seen. Like I've seen all the best limited or anthology series, I've seen all of the best comedy series. And best drama series, I don't think I've seen the most recent season for Slow Horses. So overall, I'm very excited about what these Emmys will entail, and we'll see what happens. But that's going to do it for this episode of SPDM TV. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website at SPDM. Shout out to HiFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any marketing, logo, or brand standard needs, contact them at HiFlyerCreative.com. Check out the other shows on our network. We've got a lot of great content, so please check out the other shows and continue to support our network. If you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.